everyone. Welcome to the State of the Union 2024. I'm Isabella Fernandez, the Executive Director at the Tor Project. Every year, we organize 2 streams sharing highlights of what we have accomplished in the year and some of our plans for the upcoming one. Today, you will be hearing from the Tor Project teams. And next week, our community will be the one sharing about the project and the plans for 2025. The Tor Project has grown quite a lot in the past 3 years. We're pretty much 3 times bigger. We are extremely lucky for all the folks who have joined our organization recently. The most brilliant and hardworking people have come to Tor to help with our mission. We have big projects that are gaining maturity and getting closer to be shared with the world. We also need to build the operation structure that meets the needs of our organization with the size that we are now. That is a lot to be done. And we know we will have challenges along the way. That is why it's important that we grow. Not only our organization, but our community as well. People all around the world are contributing to Tor. And the reason why folks keep coming together to support the work we are doing is because today our mission is more important than ever. Capitalist surveillance, or the business model of making money out of people's data, has advanced from using our data for targeting advertising or to manipulate information and opinions to more offensive models, such as to persecute and kill people. Unfortunately, in today's world, the context where you live can rapidly change, and you can see yourself as part of a group at risk from one day to another. That's why privacy online today means freedom tomorrow, means protection of our rights tomorrow. We all come together at Tor to make sure people around the world have an option to protect their privacy online, to be anonymous, and browse freely the internet without worrying about censorship. It takes a community to fight for it, just like it takes a community to fight to defend human rights or the planet. This is the message I want to open the State of the Union with. Tor is one of the many fronts fighting for human rights, and we can only do it because of the people who decided to come together and help with this effort. Together, we are stronger. And this year, the Tor Project and TELS Collective decided to join forces. TELS is a portable operating system that uses Tor to protect users from digital surveillance. TELS had outgrown its existing infrastructure, and rather than expanding TELS' operational capacity on their own and putting more stress on TELS workers, merging with the Tor Project with its larger and established operational structure was a much easier and better solution. By joining forces, we can pool our resources to focus on what matters most, ensuring that activists, journalists, other at-risks, and everyday users will have access to improved digital security tools. I want to end this opening by sharing a call for people to come together, especially in times like this. Find others who share similar goals to yours. Find others who want to fight to protect people's rights. Come together and organize. Unity is the only way for us to move forward and fight for a better world. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Intri, co-founder of TELS and also the team lead of TELS OS at Tor. Intri will share a few words about TELS and what they're working on. Welcome, Intri.
Thanks, Isa. Hi, I'm Intri. I'm part of the TELS team at Tor. Before that, I've been working on TELS for 15 years, when TELS was an independent organization. In recent years, we realized that TELS had outgrown its existing structure. There was too much organizational overhead for our small team. So, after a year of discussions and planning, we joined forces with Tor. What does that mean? Primarily, thanks to Tor's larger structure, the TELS team can now focus on its core mission, maintaining and improving TELS. The priorities of the TELS products remain unchanged. However, by integrating TELS into Tor's outreach efforts, we will reach more people who need TELS. And we, the Tor Project, can address a wider range of privacy needs. As a consequence, we will better protect people from surveillance and censorship. Journalists, activists, Human rights defenders use Tails as a safe work environment to store sensitive material on their Tails USB stick. But listening to our users taught us that it's too easy to lose this important data. Hardware fails. Humans make mistakes. Most users don't have backups. It's hard to recover from corrupted data, and software has bugs. Worse, not everyone is equally impacted. Cheaper USB sticks tend to fail earlier. Without access to tech education, it's easier to make mistakes that corrupts data. To make backups, one needs spare time, more hardware, and education. Data recovery requires specialized skills. To sum up, the risk of losing data mirrors and amplifies other inequalities. Tails cannot directly solve these inequalities, but we can help our users protect their data. Our approach is to detect errors before it is hard to recover. Help the user diagnose and backup. When it's safe, automatically repair, else provide documentation. Here is what we did in 2024. We detect errors when reading and writing from a Tails USB stick. We detect and repair errors on the file system of the person's storage. And we have designed a new backup feature. By the end of the year, we plan to warn users when they take actions that can cause data loss, such as unplugging the USB stick before shutting down cleanly. We plan to report earlier more types of errors. Then, once we find funding, we will implement our design for backups. Safeguarding the data that users store with Tails is important, but humans are social animals, and they also need to communicate with each other. Nowadays, people use smartphones to communicate, and mobile messaging apps are the easiest way of protecting these communications. But Tails does not support these apps yet. So we listen to the needs of our users. We interviewed a bunch of people, researchers who work on high-stakes investigations, digital security trainers, environmental activists, organizations that create safe whistleblowing platforms, and journalists who investigate state surveillance, sexual violence, etc. We learned that people we want to support need to use these apps in Tails. They need to communicate from Tails with people who only use their phone. They need Tails as a platform more secure than a potentially infected phone. They need to isolate sensitive communication outside of the phone. Finally, the portability of a USB stick can be critical in conflict or disaster situations. User research taught us that Signal is the most important app to include. However, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. So to support diverse needs, we want to support other messaging apps too. We want to do this work in 2025. We are seeking funding for this. If you are in a position to fund this project, reach out. And if you can, please donate. This will enable people who need Tails to speak with the rest of the world without uninvited listeners. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, I'm Pavel, and I'm the host for the rest of your show. I want to welcome you once again to this year's State of the Onion, our virtual fundraising event. You've already heard about what is probably the biggest news coming out of this organization for 2024. But that's just the beginning, and we have a lot more to talk about today. You will actually hear from our community team about Tor's outreach initiatives, and then you'll hear from the network and network health teams about the ways in which we improve the overall performance, speed, and stability of the Tor network. The anti-censorship team will demonstrate all the ways in which Tor is helping people stay connected. But first, we're kicking things off with an update on Tor's most censorship-resistant technology, Onion services. And prior to joining Tor as an Onion services developer, Hato had been using Onion services for about 15 years. So he channeled a lot of his experience and perspective into a number of initiatives aimed at lowering the barriers to adoption of Onion services for both users and providers. Today, he's here to talk about some of those initiatives.
Hello everyone, I'm Hato, and you'll be giving some updates about Onion services. Onion services is a communication technology for exchanging data using the Tor network. Usually, whenever a Tor user is surfing around, that connection exits the Tor network at some point to reach a destination on the internet. But with Onion services, the communication from one point to another happens entirely inside the Tor network, all the time. This brings a lot of benefits to users, service operators, and the Tor network in general. For users, it means additional privacy safeguards, such as improved anonymity and end-to-end encryption. For service operators, it also brings censorship resistance and built-in protection against denial of service. For the Tor network, Onion services can alleviate the load on exit nodes, since its connections don't need to reach the exit. This technology has its 20th anniversary, and yet not as many people know about it or use it as we would like. So to celebrate this birthday, we are announcing a comprehensive documentation effort at onionservices.torproject.org. This documentation is directed to everyone, for those who want to understand and use the technology, to the ones interested in advanced topics such as the current research. In this year, we also launched a rebranded tool called Onion Spray, which allows existing sites to be offered through Onion services, so any website can be onionized. This means your website can be turned into what we call an Onion site. Onion Spray works as a proxy between an Onion service connection and the website, bringing many benefits to operators. Onion Spray is a self-contained software with everything needed to configure an Onion site. There is no need to adapt existing setups. Onion Spray can be installed in a separate environment and no changes are usually needed in the website. If you or your organization is planning to set up an Onion service, well, why not give Onion Spray a try? On top of the benefits for operators, it adds a layer of censorship resistance to your site, ensuring its availability to more audiences worldwide. Onion Spray relies on the current Tor implementation called CTOR or Little Tor, a tool that's battle-tested and extremely stable. Onion Spray will be supported as long as CTOR is supported. For the long run, the Tor core software is being rewritten to be safer, easier to use, maintain, and understand. This new implementation already exists and it's called Arti. You will listen more about Arti later today. But for now, thanks to the huge effort of the Arti engineers, a lot of progress has been made recently, and you can test Onion services with Arti now. In order to support Arti early adopters and also provide a seamless migration from CTOR to Arti, we are already prototyping the next generation tool for managing Onion sites, which we're calling Onion Groove. Onion Groove aims to support both the old CTOR and the new Arti as engines, making the migration to Arti easier. Another important topic in the Onion service land recently is certificates. Whenever you browse the internet regularly, the connection between your computer and a service is usually encrypted, and the safety of this communication happens through the verification of a special type of security certificate. With Onion services, the connection is peer-to-peer encrypted by default, which means that no additional certificates are needed. But as the web and other internet technologies mature, certificates are starting to be a requirement in order to unleash functionalities, especially in web browsers, such as the faster connection protocol HTTP2 and also payment processing. That's why it's important to improve the certificate ecosystem to fully support Onion services. This is a hard problem and an ongoing effort, but there has been some important work to solve this. The most relevant one should bring automation to the process of issuing certificates for Onion services through an enhancement in a protocol called ACME. The ACME for Onions project is composed of tools and also an internet draft, which hopefully will turn into an internet standard soon. We are also looking into other non-conflicting alternatives that can also be used for certification, so service operators can decide which ones fits best their use case. Improve the certificate functionality will put Onion services in parity with the modern stack of web development. Onion services are also recognizable by their long addresses. A typical address looks like a big string ending in .onion. This is hard to type and even hard to memorize. Having a way to provide human-friendly addresses for Onion services is a long-awaited feature, and also a hard problem to solve, maybe even harder than certificates. To move things forward, we're planning to begin a research project to investigate existing proposals and also new, innovative ways to solve this problem. We expect that after doing this research, we'll have a better understanding of the pieces involved, the decision criteria to choose the best proposals, as well as what should be done in terms of road mapping. We hope that building one thing at a time will get us there eventually. But for today, I hope I was able to demonstrate that there are many moving parts involved in making Onion services easier to use, and that this year has brought us several steps closer. The Onion service ecosystem documentation makes it easier for both newbies and tech-savvy folks to understand and use Onion services. Onion Spray is a useful plug-and-play kit to jumpstart the onionization of your existing websites. Our ongoing certificate work and Arti implementation position us to future-proof this technology so we can take full advantage of its benefits for the years to come. And finally, we expect that we can start soon a research to improve the usability of Onion service addresses. Thank you, and happy onionization!
Thanks, Hato. It's incredible to see all these projects come to life that help those who want to run Onion services or simply get better at understanding the technology and its benefits. Onion Spray actually has already been successfully deployed by a French investigative newspaper, Mediapart.fr. They were able to stand up their Onion site with very minimal resources. You can read about it more on our blog and learn more about it next week during our community day, where we'll hear from other folks who have already used Onion Spray to deploy their own Onion. But Onion services are only as strong as the Tor network. And this is where our next group of speakers comes in. First, we will hear from Gabby and then David, two developers on the network team, and about their work for Arti. Gabby, thanks so much for joining us live today.
Hi, Pavel. Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, everyone. My name is Gabby, and I'm a developer on the network team. I'm here today to talk about Arti. First off, for those that don't know, Arti is our ongoing project to implement Tor in the Rust programming language. Like Tor, Arti is a SOX proxy that you can use to connect to the Tor network. But Arti is not just a SOX proxy. Arti is also an embeddable library. In fact, one of our main goals is to make Arti easy to embed in other programs and just generally easy to develop with. And eventually, we hope to migrate the entire Tor network to Arti. We have been very busy this past year wrapping up work on Onion service development. We implemented a number of important security features, and so now Arti is almost at feature parity with CTOR in terms of client and Onion service features. We've also made great progress on our new RPC system, and we have started working on adding relay support to Arti, which is a big and exciting project that David is going to talk about next. Of course, we've made a bunch of other less visible but nevertheless important changes, such as bug fixes and internal refactorings as well. One of the Onion service security features we implemented this year is called Vanguards. Vanguards protect against guard discovery attacks, which is a class of attack that reveals the guard relays of an Onion service or Onion service client to the attacker. This doesn't on its own de-anonymize the victim, but it does make it easier to launch traffic analysis attacks, which can ultimately lead to de-anonymization. So to defend against this type of attack, Arti now uses an additional layer of guards, which we call Vanguards, when building Onion service circuits. Our Vanguards implementation is based on the research behind Tor's Vanguards add-on, and so it offers similar protections to its Vanguards component. If you want to learn more, we encourage you to check out our blog post where we announced Vanguard support for Arti. This year, we also implemented a memory quota tracking feature to defend against memory exhaustion DOS attacks. Arti can now track how much memory it uses for each stream and circuit, as well as its total memory consumption. You can configure a memory limit, and when that limit is reached, Arti will start tearing down streams, circuits, and sometimes entire channels until the amount of memory used is below the limit again. It's important to note here that connections aren't torn down at random. They're torn down in order, starting with the one that has the oldest data, and then the one with the next oldest data, and so on. We have a blog post about this feature coming out soon, so if you're interested, please stay tuned. In other news, Arti now has client-side support for proof of work. Proof of work is a denial of service defense that was rolled out last year for Tor. It increases the cost of attacking onion services. In very simple terms, to connect to an onion service that has the POW defense enabled, the clients must solve a computational puzzle. So as of last month, Arti has experimental client-side support for proof of work, which means it can now connect to Tor onion services that have the POW defense enabled. We're working on server-side support. You should see that coming out very soon, so please stay tuned. We've also been working very, very hard on the RPC subsystem, which will enable us to provide an out-of-process API that can be used by applications that will enable us to provide an out-of-process API that will be usable by applications wishing to integrate with Arti while still running as separate processes. You can think of this RPC subsystem as somewhat analogous to CTOR's control protocol, but please note it's a complete redesign and not a control port clone. So, for example, unlike Tor's control port, the new RPC system will support application isolation, which means different applications won't be able to inspect each other's keys, circuits, and so on. Okay, moving on. As you can see on this slide, we're starting to hear from folks that are building Rust crates using Arti. We're very excited to see Arti gain traction. And here is where you, the viewer, come in. If you've ever built something with Arti, we'd love to hear your feedback. We want Arti to be easy to work with. So your feedback about our APIs or documentation, or just generally about your experience using Arti would be very much appreciated. If you're building a Rust application that needs to connect to the Tor network, we encourage you to try out Arti Client. Of course, this is with the caveat that Arti onion service client and services are not as battle tested as the Tor ones. And so it's quite likely that there are still some bugs in our implementation. If you're a developer and you want to contribute to open source, contributing to Arti could be a great option for you. If you're not a developer and still want to contribute, maybe you can contribute to Arti's documentation or user manuals. Of course, if you have bug reports or feature requests, we'd love to hear about that as well. And here on the slide, I have a bunch of links where we are reachable. You can find the Arti Git repository on GitLab. If you want to talk to us in real time, we are reachable on the Tor Dev channel on OFTC. We're also reachable via the Tor Dev mailing list. And if you want to report bugs anonymously, there is a link on the slide for that as well. And with that, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to Arti so far and everyone who's supported us. We hope you will continue supporting us in the future as well. And now I will hand it over to David, who will talk about our Relay project.
Hi, everyone. I'm David. I'm part of the network team. And today I'm going to talk to you a bit about the Arti Relay effort that the network team has been working on for the last months of this year. Our agenda is pretty simple. I'm going to basically explain to you the Tor network, what and the current state, which basically would explain why we're doing this work, and then the what is Arti Relay and the future of this. The first thing is that we're in a situation where we've built Tor for the last 20 years, and as any kind of software, it ages. And this is kind of a good picture that illustrates a little bit where we're at in our Tor code or Tor application that runs the network, runs everything. And so the entire network, not only is aging, but fortunately it's been running by volunteers over the years, and a big thank you to everyone, because not only volunteers running relays are simply allowing everyone to use the Tor network, but there are also actively some of them are actively working with us to improve the network, make things better. And over the years, one of the main recurring comment was, well, my relay is not using all its resources. And so with CTOR, as I said, it's aging, 20 years old. we have this issue that it's only using one CPU for most of its work. Fortunately, we're using multiple CPUs, as in many resources, for a piece, a very, very important piece of the network, which is the entire crypto. But to keep the technical details light, it's not using everything it can. And changing the software requires quite a bit of work. So this is why we decided to, with the Arti effort of rewriting the entire client, then we also rewriting the relay, which in turn will actually change the network for the better. The relay is, so what is a relay basically? Because we've been talking about Arti relay, rewriting and everything. So very simply put, the relay will route traffic securely towards the destination. So it's all the different ops that you hear about, that you see in your circuit display on the Tor browser. And its work is basically to ensure fairness, reliability, and safety. And by safety, we mean anonymity. And so the relay do a ton of work, different algorithms in their protocol specification specified that it needs to abide by certain rule to move the traffic around so anonymity is kept in safety. And so at the moment, because of our CTOR, our old aging software, speed and maintainability is suffering. And what speed means for everything you use on the internet with Tor, it's slower. And so we can do better. And this is what the entire Arti relay future is about. We're rewriting this from the ground up, completely rewritten from the ground up. This allows us to walk back our spec, to walk back all the issues that we currently have or that we're discovering as we go. So this is a complete paradigm shift of a better language, modern language, for better safety, better maintainability, and brings us to overall a complete better software. And I'm going to emphasize this on the last point here of speed. The bottom line of all this is better performance. It means that faster browsing, allowing to use video, using video calls, and streaming, and all this. This is in conjunction with other piece of works we've been doing, improving the network speed, congestion control, and the conflux. And so all these pieces come together with Arti Relay. And so this is a big piece of work that we're working on. We're very lucky to have an amazing team behind this, so it's making a ton of progress. And in the coming year or two, we're hoping to migrate the network to Arti Relay. All right, that's basically the overview of Arti Relay. Thank you very much, everyone. See you later.
Thank you so much. And I can only echo what David said. It's great to see that we have such a strong team working on the speed, performance, and other improvements. Thank you also to Gabby. It's great to see us pathing towards feature parity with CTOR. And yeah, here's to another 20 years of Onion services, the Tor network, and beyond. But while we're here to celebrate all the accomplishments of this year and take inventory of the incremental improvements that we've made, it's also important to acknowledge some of the challenges that we've experienced this year. When a de-anonymization attack, which could be traced back to a flawed and long deprecated piece of software, made headline news earlier this year, it sparked a larger conversation about how we can advance new initiatives to improve network health and communicate better about the health of the Tor network. In August, Hero, the Tor network health team lead, gave a joint talk with Roger at DEF CON. It was about measuring the Tor network and provided an overview of many of Tor's ongoing strategies to maintain a healthy network and community and detect and mitigate against attacks with network data. Today, in our next segment, we will learn a bit more about bandwidth scanners and the vital role that they play in optimizing Tor's performance. So let's welcome Juga, a Tor network health developer who has pre-recorded her talk today.
Thank you. There are many things that Tor network is known for, but not always for being a blasting fast network. I'm here today to talk a bit about what we are doing to change this perception. In fact, a lot of our work is to make the user experience more consistent, faster, and safer. We have a number of projects that the network health team oversees to accomplish that. One of them is the bandwidth scanners. The bandwidth scanners play an important role on the performance and security of the Tor network. They better distribute load across the network according to relay capacity. Tor bandwidth authorities run bandwidth scanners to measure the relay's capacity in the Tor network. They send the results to the directory authorities, which are special relays that maintain a list of currently running relays. These results are the consensus weight of the relays, which influence how the paths between them are built. To calculate the stream bandwidth, the bandwidth scanners create a 2-hops circuit, where the relay being measured is in the first position, the second relay had double or equal weight, the data is downloaded or uploaded from a web server, also managed by the bandwidth authorities. The stream bandwidth is the amount of data transmitted divided by the time it takes. We are working on some improvements. To get more accurate values and minimize latency to relays geolocation, we are trying different methods. One is uploading data instead of downloading it, since there is usually less upload traffic. This can be further improved by uploading data in chunks and calculating the bandwidth with the fastest one. Another is calculating the bandwidth only when the circuit has finished the slow start phase, which is possible thanks to Tor's congestion control. The maximum stream bandwidth that a relay can have is limited by CTOR implementation, which will be overcome with Arti. This is a graph of the average stream bandwidth by percentile in 2009. The median is around 10 kilobytes per second. This one is from the last month. The median is around 5 megabytes seconds, but we believe it is actually higher. To obtain the consensus weight, a relay ratio is calculated from his average stream bandwidth divided by the network average stream bandwidth. This is multiplied by the relay's self-reported or service bandwidth. This is what helps to distribute the network load. The consensus weight is published in a bandwidth file. And like all the other Tor descriptor documents, is published in collector. Now it is also published in the new metrics database. It can be queried and used in graph, and better understand and detect some types of attacks. We can then say that the bandwidth scanners benefit the relay operators and ultimately the users by making the user experience more stable. The network health team also works in other projects. The bandwidth scanner is just a snapshot of what the team is working on. Before I finish my talk, I want to quickly highlight relay advocacy, strengthen relationships with non-profit organizations that run relays, maintain documentation for setting up and running relays and bridges. One example of the relationship with another non-profit is the EFX Tor University Challenge. Statistics. Make sure usage growth statistics are collected and accurate. Track network performance, relay diversity by various metrics. Maintain the components of the network to keep it healthy. Keep bandwidth authorities working, including setting the right balance between speed and location diversity. As you can see, maintaining a healthy network is a large undertaking. I hope I was able to give you a small glimpse into the many projects we oversee to manage relay capacity, remove bad relays, and grow the network. Thank you everyone for listening today. For a deeper dive into all of our projects, you can check out our wiki. We will post a link in the comments. Bye for now.
A big thank you to Juga and her team for this update. And we'll continue to share updates about the Tor network and network health regularly on our forum, blog, or socials. So please be sure to connect with us on all the platforms that we're able to communicate with you. We also have a monthly relay operator meetup that you can join and be an active part of the conversation and discuss all things Tor network. We also organized a virtual event as part of Global Encryption Day, where we had a roundtable discussion with some of Tor's dedicated volunteer relay operators. We shared the findings from a recent study on the relay operator community health as part of the event. We'll drop the link to the study in the chat below, and you can also watch a replay of the event on YouTube. But I would like to take this moment to acknowledge the support and the dedication of the thousands of relay operators worldwide. We are grateful for all the contributions and your resilience. It's your collective effort that ensures the strength of Tor's global network. Tor runs on community support. And this is exactly where our next speaker is coming in. I'd like to welcome Raya to the stage, Tor's outreach and education coordinator on the community team, who will talk about some recent initiatives designed to grow the Tor community and help some of our most vulnerable users to stay connected. Welcome, Raya.
Thanks, Pavel, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the State of the Onion 2024. All right, so I'm going to tell you today more about Tor's education programs. So beyond the obvious aim of spreading awareness as well as lowering the barriers of entry to the space and demystifying Tor as much as we can, we're also trying to shift how we approach this by decentralizing trainings. And for a long time, we used to be the ones going around giving trainings. And while this can be useful, we're thinking the trainings should happen where people are and run by the people of that community. So the center of gravity has therefore shifted towards teaching digital security trainers from across the global south about Tor, the ins and outs of the network, so they can take it forward to their own contexts and communities. We've heard in passing that this works. One of the digital security trainers whom we had trained on Tor started running Tor trainings locally. And later on, her and her colleagues continued to organize Tor trainings and eventually ran one for a larger audience of human rights defenders from different parts of the world. And that garnered immense amounts of positive feedback. We learned about this because the people who had received that training came up to our booth in a conference and shared about their experience receiving this Tor training and said, we finally understand what Tor is all about, and maybe because it wasn't us explaining it. So shout out to our friends at Digital Shelter in Somalia. All right, so maybe it's not enough to just stop there, because if we think about equity, we need to also think about how we can create channels of material support so trainers, especially in the global majority, take it forward if they wish to do so. Hence the launching of our privacy resilience grants program, which is a micro grants program launched by the Tor Project. We launched it back in 2022, and the plan is to keep running it with open calls for applications at least once a year. Each round, we're supporting around 8 groups or individual trainers to do on-the-ground Tor activities. So this quote was shared by one of the trainers we supported through the privacy resilience grants. And as you can read, a lot of these educational programs become about this collaborative learning between trainers. We tend to share our own approach to teaching about Tor and encryption and censorship and other core topics, but trainers tend to adapt this in ways they see relevant in their own context and share their own learnings, their own observations of what worked and what didn't. Today, we're happy to announce that the next round of applications is open. So this would be our 4th call since the launch of the program. And we've previously supported groups and individuals in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Somalia. Today, our call is open to people from 49 different countries. Applicants can request up to $3,000 per proposal. The link to apply is up there in the QR code, and be mindful of the deadline, which is going to be the 10th of December. We're hearing good feedback from this program, so some more tidbits from trainings delivered by grantees and partners. Here's a journalist in Uganda who shared that the training on Tor has been a game changer. I and my media house now feel much more confident to protect our sources and colleagues from government surveillance. All right, so what's next for Tor education? We're working to stay true to the goal of decentralization and keep building partnerships. We want to do more training of trainers and support trainers with doing more Tor activities on the ground across the global south. And we also want to start sowing seeds for wider relay operations. So not just encourage the use of Tor, but also the running of Tor. Tor's strength stems from its diversity. And as one of our partners in Kenya astutely observed, she shares, I would like to learn how to set up Tor relays. While doing the training, I found out that a number of relays were operated in European countries, and that could be the same in Africa. I believe partnering up with universities and conducting sessions on how to run Tor relays will contribute towards overcoming this hindrance. So, and finally, on our drawing board is a program that we're keen on piloting at some point, which is the Tor Advocates Program. And that will be a months-long program to allow advocates and trainers to delve deep into the world of Tor and contribute to the project. So if you think this is interesting and have any requests or questions, you can get in touch with us through training@torproject.org. And that's it from me. Back to you, Pavel.
Thank you so much, Raya. It's always great to get a little bit more insight into your work and also hear from people the impact that Tor makes in everybody's life. So thank you so much for sharing all this with us. It's actually like you, our next and penultimate speaker knows a thing or two about what it takes to make sure that people stay connected and can communicate freely. Let me introduce you to Shell. He's an anti-censorship developer who will guide us through his team's updates about all the different ways Tor is restoring access for those who are experiencing internet censorship.
Hi, this is Shell from Tor's Anti-censorship team, and I will be presenting what our team have been working on this year. In addition to reacting to new censorship events, we focus on improving the foundation of various anti-censorship tools that we offer to users. That include the introduction of WebTuner earlier this year, transitioning to a new mechanism for bridge distribution, and updates to Snowflake, among other projects. Let me start by talking about Tor's bridge distribution. Many of you are probably familiar with BridgeDB. It was Tor's bridge information distribution system, which released its first version more than 11 years ago. It was originally designed to only work as a prototype, but over the years, it served our community well and honorably outlived its initial lax expectancy. But anti-censorship work is dynamic in nature, and over the years, BridgeDB becomes subject to a lot of experiment and change made to new strategy and technologies to support users with censored network environments. As a result, there was an accumulation of technical debt, entangled imperfections, and outdated code that make further improvement and maintenance increasingly difficult. To address this, we began working on the next generation bridge information distribution system 4 years ago. It's called Arti. The benefit of Arti lie in its design. It uses a modular design to allow components to be reused and upgraded individually, which makes maintenance a lot easier and more sustainable. During the last year, we made some additional changes to allow Arti to achieve similar functionality as BridgeDB. We have improved HTTPS distributor, email distributor, and the MOD, the domain fronting-based distributor that is famously known for requesting users to solve a CAPTCHA. With Arti, we finally removed the requirement to solve CAPTCHAs. There were also other improvements of Arti, like finishing persistent state storage, adding support for the distribution of WebTuner, and improved the bridge testing. After all that, the final transition will start in the beginning of this year. And in September, we are able to finish our test. Right now, we are turning off BridgeDB. I'd like to say thank you and good night to BridgeDB and good riddance CAPTCHAs. Let's talk about Snowflake. Many of you viewers might already know, Tor operates a crowdsourced proxy system named Snowflake that makes setting up proxy as easy as opening a web page. So let me talk about what we did to improve it even more. We conducted major maintenance to keep the light on for Snowflake web extension on Chrome this year. Google announced its plan to discontinue its support for the Memphis v2 after June 2024, which we depended on. We revoked the architecture of the Snowflake web extension to update it to Memphis v3. In September, we deployed the updated version of Snowflake web extension to the Chrome Web Store, complying with the Memphis v3 API standard. This allows Snowflake web extension to continue to exist and proxy connections as we are speaking and watching. We are still working on other improvements to Snowflake, such as the release process of Snowflake with automated and standardized release pipelines with continuous integration, keeping Snowflake accessible by replacing broken domain fronting content delivery networks, and performance improvement related to protocol revisions. We will keep you posted on all that, but for now, I also want to acknowledge the addition of another proxy protocol into our anti-censorship toolkit. In March this year, we officially released WebTunnel. WebTunnel is a public transport for general users. WebTunnel complements our existing proxy standard with its design to blend itself into encrypted web traffic, evading censorship based on fully encrypted traffic fingerprinting. We have seen great success with WebTunnel as it reached maturity and is ready to be used by more users. Also in March, we integrated WebTunnel with Lyrebird. Lyrebird is our bundled proxy protocol provider that includes a variety of proxy protocols in a single public transport binary. The effort has a big benefit. It reduces download size. This is important for two reasons. It makes for more convenient distribution, and it simplifies the support of UTLD integration, which allows WebTunnel to evade censorship based on building block characteristics, also known as TLS fingerprinting. There are many other projects that we work on this year, like Logs, Conjure, and Long Collector. We invite you to explore their code repository to learn more about them, and stay up to date with the change and improvements that we are making. We will post link in the chat. But for now, I want to conclude my talk with an outlook on 2025. We will continue to react and deploy censorship evasion updates when censorship events surface. In addition to that, here is what new feature we will be working on. Ease of use improvements with more streamlined and automated installation of updates of proxies. This will cover Snowflake and potentially other public transport. Snowflake improvement including improved protocol to compensate for packet loss, and making it harder to emulate proxies. And on that note, if there's nothing else you take away from this talk, remember that we are always working on making it easier for Tor users to come to internet, and harder for our adversary to block them. Thanks for your attention and continued support. See you next year.
Hey everyone, so happy to be here. My name is Al Smith. I'm the director of fundraising at the Tor Project, and I just want to say thank you to Shell, who came before me. I love what Shell just said, and I want to repeat it because it summarizes what we do at Tor every day. 1, we focus on making it easier for people to access the internet using Tor, and 2, we make it harder for censors to block Tor. We do this because everyone, everywhere, has the right to speak, browse, and search with freedom and with privacy. Fighting for everyone to be able to exercise these rights is what we're doing every day by making Tor faster, more stable, and more usable. It's an important fight, one that's not easy or going away. Even in the face of many adversaries, one of Tor's greatest strengths is that no matter who is in power, Tor is resilient. Tor is a network that can't be taken offline or dismantled by one person or one company or one government. We've seen this happen with social media apps and platforms we've depended on, even privacy-focused services. Something in the wind or the economy changes, and then suddenly those tools that we relied on are gone or have changed so much that they harm us instead of help us. Tor was built from the beginning to be different, and we're still following that guiding vision. Instead of a centralized tool, Tor is a collective and distributed effort led by individuals with a variety of goals. We're here to fight corporate surveillance, provide accessible privacy, and help people access free information. This is truly only possible as a collective. Tor's strength is in its diversity and its distribution. Its strength is all of you here right now contributing to something bigger than ourselves in the name of human rights and privacy. When you become a donor to the Tor Project, you're joining this collective of people who are fighting for privacy and freedom. And every gift, no matter its size, makes a difference. We're able to keep going because of the many supporters who stand up and chip in. In fact, most donations to the Tor Project last year were $25 or less. And these contributions all add up to power the Tor Project. You don't need to make a big gift to make a big difference. While donations are not the only way to contribute, they are a really important part of the web of actions that we can take to fight for freedom and privacy online, and we really need your support to keep up that fight. Right now is a great time to give, if you've ever considered it, because a generous donor has pledged to match all donations made now through the end of the year. That means if you give $25, this donor will match you at $25, and your donation essentially becomes $50. That essentially means that every gift from now until the end of the year is doubled. On top of contributing to a community of like-minded privacy advocates and matching your gift, donating at certain levels will also qualify you for some pretty excellent thank you gifts, like this brand new Tor hat, which you can see on the screen. Okay, so how do you do this? How do you donate? You can visit our website at donate.torproject.org. All donations on our website are tax deductible in the US, and you can donate in whatever way makes sense for you, online, via cryptocurrency, via postal mail. Whatever way you donate, you can qualify for gifts. And I just want to remind everyone to check and see if your employer matches donations. Most big corporations have some kind of charitable giving or match program, and you just need to talk to your HR person to find out if that's the case. Sometimes employers match your gift up to 2 or 3 times. So you want to make sure that you're not leaving something on the table, especially if you've already made a donation this year. Finally, I want to bring us back to the reason why the Tor Project asks for donations in the first place, and that's because we are a nonprofit. We are the antithesis of big tech, and building Tor requires community support. In the next year, probably over the next several years, we're going to be facing many attacks on privacy and freedom online. But Tor can help provide safety and security even under these circumstances. If you believe in the fight for human rights, including the right to freedom and privacy online, please make a gift to the Tor Project today. We'll use your donation to make Tor faster, more stable, and easier to use, and in turn, you'll be helping millions of people safely access the free internet. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll turn it back to Pavel now.
Thank you so much, Al. And that really brings us to the end of today's event. As we're close to hitting the hour, I want to stress more that this is just a snapshot of what all the Tor teams have been working on this year. We haven't really heard from the applications team, but as you know, they've been working tirelessly to improve the Tor browser experience with 2 major Tor browser releases this year. They introduced a new connection experience for Android in 13.5 and a new circuit feature in version 14. Some other highlights include a better letterboxing experience for desktop, visually improved bridge settings that help censored users find working bridges more easily and improve the management of multiple bridges. There's so much more to speak about, and we will actually do so next week during our community day. It will take place at the same place and time as this week. Because as I just mentioned, there's so much happening. And if you're actually feeling left out of the loop, please be sure to sign up for our newsletter or look for updates on our blog or follow us on our social. But for now, this is all that we wanted to share today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and see you next week.